Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here from holsingersflyshop.com. Bringing you a classic old nymph pattern, I should say. This is the Tellico Nymph, and it's a classic. Like I said, it's been around for a long time. Guys use it for trout, use it for panfish, and a lot of guys do not weight this. You could swing it as a wet if you want, and it would work great swung as a wet too. So don't weight it, so you can swing it as a wet, or weight it like I'm doing. And you can also put a bead on it if you want. A lot of different ways to tie it, but this is pretty close to the standard way. Of course, I'm using some new materials compared to what they used back in the old days. You know, UV glue wasn't around back then, and I'm using that. So anyhow, guys, it's an easy tie. It looks a little intricate, I guess you would say, but it's not that hard. And a little bit of practice, you'll get it if you're a beginner. So, and it's going to teach you a couple new techniques also. Spinning the Herl around the wire to strengthen it. And you're going to learn some things. So have fun tying this one. You know, the classics are the classics for a reason, because they worked. Don't overlook them and think you got to have the newest one out there, the newest nymph coming down the road. They'll still eat the old ones. So here you go. Here's a picture of the fly and the material list to tie it. Alright, here you see the fly in the vise. It's a cool looking fly, and it's an old classic fly, so let's get into tying it. The hook I'm going to use is a Firehole, a barbless hook like always, and a new one for us here at the shop. It's a 618, Firehole 618, and a size 14. Okay, this is a cool hook because it's 2x long and 2x gap, so it's a bigger hook than your standard 14. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on about 15 wraps of 0.015 lead, and I didn't count there, but that should be close. But 15 wraps is about where I like to go on this fly, on this hook, because it's the right length. Then the next thing is a little bit of yellow 140 Denier thread. Not a little bit, we're going to put a lot on in the long run, but next thing I'm going to put on is the 140 Denier yellow thread. And this pattern you can tie without weight. I just like to have weighted flies, so I'm tying it with weight. Now, next thing I'm going to use is a little bit of wood duck, and this is a wood duck flank feather, and I'm going to make the tail. And to make the tail, I just want to get a nice clump of feathers here, get the ends all matched up together, and tear them off there so they're all the same length. And I want my tail to be about the length of the shank there. We're just going to tie it down on top, try to get that little bit of a curve going up there. Whoops, sorry about that. Bring it back here where we want it. That's good there, I like that. Alright, now, also the other thing about putting the lead on here is it builds up a little bit of taper for you, which you're going to use in the long run. Next thing I'm going to put on is a piece of turkey tail, and I'm just going to take about 7 or 8 fibers off of this, and this is going to be the back of the fly. So I'm going to tie this in, and I want the bottom side up. And you can do it either way. You can cut it before or after. I sometimes like to cut it before I tie it down. Just trim those ends off a little bit. And I'm just going to keep this right where it's right on top. And I'm going to take that right back to my tail. Next thing, we're going to put a little bit of small gold wire on. I go with the small here because it's not showing through. This is going to strengthen our Peacock curl. So we're just going to put a piece of wire on. And I usually tie that in on the side closest to me. Okay, now I'm going to use about 3 strands of Peacock curl. You can use 3 or 4. The small, if you go a little bigger, use 4. And boy, I can't grab the third one. There we go. So I'm just going to line them up by the tips there, and then I'm going to come back about 2 inches or so. I'm just going to tear them off because I want a little bit stronger fibers on there. So we're just going to wrap this in there. Now once we get this wrapped in, I'm going to make sure I have all of that, everything covered up. I don't want any color showing through. I want this all to be yellow. The other way you could do it, I'm using 140 Denier yellow thread, and if you have like a Danville yellow floss, that works great. But we don't carry it in the shop, so I'm just using what we do carry, and that's 140 Denier yellow. You can use 70 if you want, but it just takes a little bit more to build up here. We are building up a little bit of a taper, kind of like a big fatty or something, I guess you would say. You see how it's smaller at the back, and I build up a nice taper, and I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to tie this off because I don't want to end it with a yellow head. I'm going to end it with a black head. So we're just going to tie that off. Now I'm going to switch thread, and the next thread I'm going to get to is 70 Denier black, and I'm just going to come in and tie this on here, cover up that yellow. Alright, now we're going to make the rib on this. To make the rib, I'm going to take my 3 strands of Peacock Herl and my 1 strand of gold, and I'm just going to wrap them around each other, okay? Just going to twist them around, and what it's going to do, it's going to make a stronger Herl rope. You'll see a little bit of it coming through, and that is fine. Okay, and then we're just going to wrap this around. Now, you want to space it out, and you only want to get about 3 turns off of this. Oops, I lost one there. Yeah, we're going to come back and trim that. Okay, we want to get about 3 turns, and then we're going to tie it off. Okay, now I did lose one of those in the twisting of it there. You can see it right there. So I'm just going to trim that off because it's wrapped in tight by that wire. So it's not going to come undone. Well, maybe it will a little bit. There, get her back to where it is wrapped in. Next thing I want to do is put the legs on this fly. For the legs on this fly, we're going to go with a brown Hen Hackle. And we're just going to pick a small one off here because I don't want real long legs. And I'm just going to strip back the fluff. And then, like I always do, I'm going to tie it in by the tip. So I'm going to grab the tip, peel back some of them fibers, and we're going to tie it in by the tip. Alright, got her tied in there. I'm just going to trim this. And then we're going to wrap this on with our hackle pliers. So I'm going to put my hackle pliers on the back here. And we're going to just palmer it forward. As I palmer it, I'm going to tease those fibers back. Oops. Making nice tight wraps here. And teasing them back as we go. Then once I get the whole way up, we're going to tie it off. Trim that tag. Now I'm going to wrap this back just a little bit to lock it into place. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to pull these fibers down over each side. So I want these legs all to go down below. And to do that, I'm just going to put a little bit of a wrap over them, kind of to lock them in place, to keep them all down on the bottom. And then we're going to, I'm having trouble with that one piece there. Now I got it back under the wire. Okay, so I got these all where I need them to go. We're going to come back in and we're going to put the back on this, which is the turkey. So we put those legs down over the side, got the turkey up on the top here where we need it, and we're just going to wrap it around and finish off this fly. Now I will oftentimes wrap it back. It just kind of holds it in place nice. Okay, and then we're just going to make a nice tight head here. I like to use the 70 out here on the head because it's a lot easier to work with the small head. And then we're going to make a shell back on the back of this. And I lost one fiber here. There we go. Clean that up a little bit. Okay, so you see we got the turkey going right down the center of the back, which is where we want it. Our nice wraps here. Now to finish this fly, I'm going to use just a little bit of UV Solarez medium velocity. It's what I like to use for shellbacks, and we're going to just put it on here. Make a nice little shellback, a hard shellback to protect that turkey. We're just going to smooth it out. Then we're going to hit it with our light, and that's all that's to it. So we'll just roll that around there. And then hit it with our light, and we're done. And there you go, the Tellico Nymph. Okay guys, I hope you liked that fly. It was fun for me to tie some of the old patterns. I'm going to be bringing you a lot more of the old patterns. And just because, you know, I've been around tying flies for 30 years. And some of the flies that I tied 30 years ago, I still fish today and they still catch fish. So these old ones like this one, they'll catch fish for you too. Don't overlook them. Go back, learn them. Practice tying the old ones, because the old ones have a lot of the techniques that you build upon techniques. Like I always say, don't get hung up on a pattern, get hung up on techniques, learning how to do something correctly, getting your proportions down and all that kind of stuff. That's what makes you a good fly tyer, not being able to tie all the new patterns just because you can or whatever, but knowing why you do what you do when you tie. That's what makes you a good tyer. So have fun tying. That's what tying's all about. And like always, you need the materials. You can find it down in the description down below. You can find links, or you can visit us at holsingersflyshop.com. So keep watching. I'm going to be bringing you more classic patterns like this one. And until next week, guys, I'm Sean Holsinger.